What's up everyone, welcome to the Quaker State 400 Top 5 DFS Picks video for Sunday, July 10th at the newly reconfigured Atlanta Motor Speedway for the second time this season. As always, I'm your host Chris Pennell. You can find me on Twitter at ChrisPennell16, and this video is presented by PrizePicks. In today's video, we are going over general track strategy, how to approach this slate from a DFS perspective, and my top 5 favorite plays on the slate. Please keep in mind this video is being recorded pre-practice and qualifying, so some of my thoughts and opinions on these drivers could end up changing throughout the weekend. So making sure you're staying up to date on what happens on the track on Saturday and Sunday will be very beneficial to you in creating fantasy NASCAR lineups this weekend. And if you want the up-to-date info and analysis, you can find me and Jason on the Stokastic Live Before Lock show, where I break down the entire slate, answer any questions you may end up having. And as far as how we should approach the slate from a DFS perspective, this is no longer the Atlanta of old. If you played earlier in the season, you understand what Atlanta is now, but if you happen to miss that race, it is now a super speedway. It's not your normal intermediate track where you're looking for dominators. Even though there is still a good chunk of laps compared to most super speedways, this is going to play out like a Talladega and Daytona type race. We are going to see pack racing. They are running the super speedway package. They completely reconfigured Atlanta like I mentioned early on. They repaved the surface, they increased banking, and it's pretty narrow now. So we're going to see pack racing side by side, which means we're probably going to see a good chunk of wrecks. There were several cars that wrecked out earlier in the season, and due to pack racing, they're going to be all bunched up. You're not going to see a driver pull away from the field leading all the laps. We had a numerous amount of lead changes, so we're not really looking for dominator points. Sure, if you can pick out the main lap leader, and they don't happen to wreck, yeah, that's going to be fine. But for the most part, we're just banking on place differential for the most part, and you can throw in some finishing position potential as well. But dominator points, you cannot project fast laps when they are drafting off of each other. They're completely random throughout the field. So this is one of those weeks where you don't really have to spend all of your salary. You've seen many times before at super speedways where there is a lot of money left on the table, $5,000, $10,000. So do not feel like you have to use a good chunk of your salary, or really even any expensive drivers. Again, like I said, I don't know where they qualified yet, but if we do have some more expensive drivers starting in the back, yeah, you might end up using more of your salary, but for the most part, don't really regard salary as anything this weekend. It's really all about where these drivers end up starting and their skill set at super speedways. And getting into the picks, we'll start with number 5, and it's a cheap one. LaJoie, $5,400 on DraftKings, only $4,000 over on FanDuel. But believe it or not, LaJoie, of all drivers this season at the 3 super speedway races, he is averaging the most DraftKings points per race this year, which honestly is not all that surprising because in the past, LaJoie has always been an excellent super speedway driver. He's not one you'd really expect to go out there and win the race, but at his price point, usually where he starts, you do not need him to do that. But he's always been very consistent at just laying low, laying back, waiting for wrecks, and picking up spots that way. He has no problem at all picking up a modest top 15 finish, which is all I ask for at this price point. And usually if he starts around 20th or 30th, that is going to get the job done. But at the 3 super speedway races so far this year, he's finished in the top 15 each and every single time. 14th at Talladega, 5th at Atlanta, and 14th at Daytona earlier in this season. And if you date back to the past 11 super speedway races, there is only 2 drivers averaging more fantasy points per race at these tracks, and that's going to be Bubba Wallace and Justin Haley, and he has a smaller sample size. So LaJoie, while he's not your normal name driver that we'd have on this type of video, at a super speedway, he has been pristine. And moving on to number 4, we have Brad Keselowski, $6,500 on DraftKings, $5,800 over on FanDuel. And while he's not normally a driver that we have on here at super speedways, he is always a force to be reckoned with. Literally, he tends to wreck a lot of people at super speedways. But Keselowski, at the past 11 super speedway races, he has the second best average running position, only behind his former teammate Ryan Blaney. The Fords tend to run very strong at super speedways, and he has to sell out for a win because he is not going to point his way into the playoffs. So this is one of his chances to be able to get into the playoffs with a win here. But he finished 9th at Daytona, 12th at Atlanta, 23rd at Dega, but ended up getting into a bit of a scuffle there and just couldn't really recover. But hard not to like Keselowski to super speedway. He's dirt cheap on both sides, and he honestly is a threat to win this race. Not something you really expect from Keselowski this year, but this is really his one chance to punch his ticket. And moving on to number 3, it's another cheaper driver. And like I said, you do not have to use that much salary this weekend, but it's Erik Jones, $6,700 on DraftKings, $5,500 over on FanDuel. And believe it or not, He has the second best average running position at super speedways this year, only behind arguably the best one in NASCAR currently, Ryan Blaney. So that's a very good company to be in. He's finished in the top 15 2 out of 3 races so far this year. Also has a top 10 finish as well. But Erik Jones, another driver that would theoretically have to sell out for a win to get into the playoffs, because he is not going to point his way in. So this is like one of those tracks where some of these drivers that obviously really don't have a chance to win a normal track. Erik Jones, well, he has shown speed. I wouldn't really call him a threat to win at other tracks. This is their chance to punch their ticket and hope we get a bunch of repeat winners heading into the playoffs so they can stay there. But Erik Jones has always been a driver I have been interested in at super speedways. He always has speed, always has upside, and is always able to run near the front. It's just a matter of staying clean throughout the end. So if Erik Jones stays clean in this race, I think he can definitely be a top 10 contender. And before we get into our next pick, I want to talk about our sponsor, PrizePicks. They offer a daily prop-based contest. There's no sharks, optimizers, or mass entries, and 5-player lineups can net up to 10 times your entry fees. Use your knowledge of multiple sports with the cross-sport entries. You can download the App Store, on Google Play, or play over on PrizePicks.com. Use our free player prop tools to help you make the best selections. And you can get 1 free month of Stokastic Plus Platinum when you sign up and make a deposit over at PrizePicks. Or receive that email within 24 to 48 hours to redeem your free month of Stokastic Plus Platinum. And moving on to number 2, this is probably the highest you'll see him on a video for the entire season, but it's Bubba Wallace, $8,700 on DraftKings, $800 over on FanDuel. When it comes to super speedways, while he might not be your favorite driver out there, and he's obviously not the best driver, he is one of the best at super speedways. He tends to be able to run up front, get the job done, and recently he's been on a hot streak of really good finishes at super speedways besides the last one. But looking at the recent finishes, 13th, 2nd, 1st, 3rd. He's averaging the most DraftKings points per race at super speedways the past 11 races, which is a rather large sample size. And he has an average finish nearly inside the top 10, only behind Ryan Blaney at 11.8 compared to Blaney at 11.0. So hard not to like Bubba here. He's one of those drivers, like I previously mentioned with the other 3, that have to sell out for a win to have a chance to get into the playoffs. And Bubba is certainly a driver that has a chance to win at a track like this. He can work with his owner, Denny Hamlin, who is one of the best plate racers in NASCAR. So Bubba Wallace, a threat to win here, and definitely going to be in my lineups no matter where he's starting. Either he's going to be a tournament play or a cash play. Just depends on where he's going to be throughout the field once we start the race. And finally, my number 1 play for the Quaker State 400 at the newly reconfigured Atlanta Motor Speedway. It's got to be no other than the driver that I've hinted at multiple times throughout this video to compare drivers to, but it's Ryan Blaney, $10,700 on DraftKings, the most expensive driver, and the 3rd most expensive over on FanDuel, sitting at $13,000 flat. Tied for the best odds with Chase Elliott and Ross Chastain to win this race. And he has been arguably the best super speedway racer over the past few seasons. Looking at his recent form in the past 11 races, he's got the best average finish, the best average running position, the best average driver rating. He has 2 wins, which is tied for the most, 4 top 5, some of the most laps led per race. Really hard not to like Blaney. He is currently 2nd in points, so you wouldn't really think he's in trouble of missing the playoffs, but he's going to have to pick up a win. If we get multiple new winners to close out the season, Blaney, while high in the point standings, is in danger of missing the playoffs. This would be a really good race for Blaney to win, and he's definitely no stranger at getting a checkered flag at super speedway. So no matter where he starts, he's going to be in play for me. If he's in the back, I think it's going to hurt him as far as a tournament play goes. So I'm kind of hoping he starts kind of front half of the field to be one of those drivers that can pick up some laps led and finishes in the top 5 by the end of the day. So just to recap, at number 5, we had Corey LaJoie. Number 4, Brad Keselowski. Number 3, Erik Jones. Number 2, Bubba Wallace, and number 1, Ryan Blaney. All these drivers are either excellent super speedways, need to win, or perform very well with them so far this year, and I like their price points. But with that being said, I'll get out of here. I wish you all the best of luck this weekend, and if you did enjoy today's free content, all we ask in return is if you can leave a like on the video, subscribe if you're brand new, and hit the bell so you get notified when these videos drop each and every single week. And there's also plenty of other content on the channel that you'll definitely enjoy, so turn that bell so you don't miss out. And you can feel free to leave a comment down below if you agree or disagree with any of the takes I had throughout today's video. And you can follow us on Sunday for the Live Before Lock show, where me and Jason will break down the entire slate and answer any questions you may end up having. With that being said, I wish you all the best of luck, and I'm looking forward to the race at the new Atlanta Motor Speedway for some more pack racing.